Did you know that fire ant poison is very toxic to aquatic life, and it is being dumped over waterways, over water tanks, over people, over animals? We have now seen a lot more people come forward saying that their animals are either dead or very, very sick. More are saying dead than sick, and it's very, very concerning. Now, Lynn Sutherland and I, we did a event on Sunday at Currumbin RSL. We had about 200 people there. It was called Stop Toxic Fire Ant Program. We've just done an interview on Channel 9, which is going to be aired on the news tonight at 5:30. Thank you to Gold Coast Channel 9 News. And now we're going to have a chat with Lynn, and she'll show us exactly what is being sent to people's homes and what it says on there. Hey, Lynn.
Hey, old one, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Well, you've just given me this poison that's been sent to people's homes, and this is really upsetting because I'm just reading, it's a Group 7C insecticide, but on the back here, and this is the same poison that's being put into our children's schools, our playgrounds, our parks, our sporting fields, and it's where I got, when they did the Pirate Park in Palm Beach, I got really sick after they applied this stuff, and now I'm absolutely livid because I'm reading the back of this label and it confirms what we've all been saying. This is their label, see,
yes,
right here. It says, do not, first thing, very toxic to aquatic life. Very first sentence. Do not contaminate wetlands. We know they've done that. Or other watercourses. We know they've done that with the chemical or used container. So even the used container is toxic. And they're dumping this in mass. And we've actually seen some people, because people aren't home, just throw this bait over the fence and put a whole lot of this. But the worst thing is, they say this goes away in the environment, but if you put it in shady areas, it actually takes a lot longer to break down. And if it is underground, because the ants take this underground, I don't even know if it breaks down because they're taking it underground and it's going under our soils. And it's really distressing because I've seen literature that even from the people about organic farming that says no farm in Queensland after they've finished poisoning with this stuff will be able to export their organic produce overseas. So they are actually crashing our organic farming. And I'm so upset because I know how sick I got in the waterway, and some of the community sort of said, oh, you know, you're a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, no, I got sick. I know my health and I know what happened, and after reading this, it's no doubt I got sick. My dog also got sick at the same time, and he was swimming with me, and other people's dogs got sick and they felt ill. And we have a motto now, oh, it's low tide, better not swim in, you know, Currumbin Creek. So this is insane. This has to stop immediately, because if they don't, we're going to, you know, be sicking ourselves. The animals are going to be sick. Over 4 years of this program, who knows what will happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get a close-up of what the actual wording there, and you can see there if we just zoom in.
I love the first sentence.
There we go. Okay, see that says very toxic to aquatic life. Do not contaminate wetlands or other watercourses with a chemical or used container. And at the top, protection of wildlife, fish, crustaceans and environment. I don't know why they got protection there, because the last thing they're doing is protecting anything. They're actually poisoning everything. So instead of protecting...
If you don't put it near the watercourses, you're protecting it.
Oh.
Right? So
right.
It's saying protection of wildlife, so do not put it in the water.
Right.
And look, they've been baiting all these parks right up to the water edge and even dropping it in the creeks. And I know people that have had to have their whole water tanks drained after they've dropped it onto their roofs and it's gone into their water supply. So this is nuts. And I remember after we got sick at the Pirate Park, a lot of people were walking around with this raspy kind of cough. That's what I had. And I was running into people and they go, oh, I don't know what's wrong with me. I go, I do, because you've got what I've got. And I know when it happened and I know how it happened. So there you go.
That's atrocious. And then the other thing it says on this brochure that they send with the poison. Now, what does that say there, Lynn? In the product, it says that. Yep. What is it?
You should apply the product even if fire ants are not visible, as they could be underground or nearby property. But they actually say, the experts from Texas say you shouldn't apply it anywhere where fire ants aren't around, because our native ants are the best protection we have against fire ants, and plus it kills all insects. Like, this is an insecticide. It means that the bees, the pollinators, and a lot of our native bees, like Simon says, are ground bees. He reckons there's over 1,200 species of native bees. And these guys are harming all those species for one ant.
Yeah,
and I've
it's
been
horrible.
with the fire ants, so we went to a paddock where the fire ants were visible, and they treat them naturally. So there are natural ways to treat them out there, and they've gone way too far with fire ants already in our ecosystem to even be thinking of bombing our national parks, because that's our line of defence.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we had a great event on Sunday.
We did. It was amazing.
And thank you to everyone who showed up, by the way. Thank you to everyone who showed up, and also those who spoke up, because we had a lady there that she had all her chickens died.
Yeah,
Gemma.
It was Gemma.
Yeah, can you share
Yeah.
the story about Gemma?
Oh, Gemma was beautiful. She's a young little wildlife guru, so she's already a girl after my own heart. But she got these rescue chickens that she got, thinking she was doing the right thing. She heard helicopters at night. My tenants also rang me and said they'd heard the helicopters at night at Crumb Valley. And when I spoke about it in a community group chat, I got my head bitten off. But Gemma also heard them. So it's not just Currumbin. She's in Talai, I do believe. And the morning after, she woke up to have all this stuff, probably all around her property. We don't even know what they're dropping out of these helicopters sometimes.
No.
But probably the distance plus en masse. And all her chickens died, and the rescue chickens, and her guinea fowl. And then her guinea fowl had babies, and they all died.
They all died. Horrible.
Yeah.
And we're hearing more and more of these stories of people's cats, dogs, horses,
my neighbour
cows.
cat lost all its fur. And when they first started using this stuff, I went to a Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary, because there were just, every lorikeet was busy trying to pull out its feathers.
Oh.
And when I read up about pesticides, some of the symptoms are really itchy skin.
Oh.
And I only reflecting now that my roommate had this terrible rash when this program started, and we didn't even know what that was. I'm only thinking of that right now.
Right.
So-
Wow. And I noticed actually yesterday I was up at Southport Sharks, and where I go to the gym up there's a whole lot of trees where normally around sunset you hear so many lorikeets, and I hardly heard any lorikeets. I'm like, where are the lorikeets gone? And there's like, you put two and two together, like
it's clear that this kills birds. I filmed on our sports oval after they did the AFL ground. I filmed all the little corellas munching on it, just munching on it. They were having a field day. They thought, oh my God, free feed. So they were there in hundreds. And then I desperately ran to Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. Look, I've got, and I filmed the pellets on the ground, and I took it into the wildlife sanctuary, and they said, oh, well, we don't have the evidence. I said, well, a lot of birds have been dying in my backyard, which don't usually, I think I had 4 dead birds this year, and I don't remember ever having a dead bird in my yard. So that's just my yard.
and I'm seeing them all over the place. I'm seeing dead birds all over the streets now. I'm seeing dead bees on the beach, which I've never seen. In 24 years I've lived on the coast, and now there's all these dead bees along the beach line as well.
I've seen dead bees on the beach.
You have? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have it not up the north end. I haven't seen it up
Well,
near,
then
near
maybe it's
Sheraton.
happening more because they're weaker.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. So we're very concerned about the environment, about our animals, about our health. And for this to be mandated is absolutely outrageous, and there's no proper environmental impact studies, and if they had done any studies they'd see that everything's dying. This is not about the fire ants, this is about a lot more, and I believe it's about controlling the food supply, controlling the water supply. They're killing off organic farming with this spray. No longer can we say we have organic food if you've had all
That's
this.
outrageous, isn't it? Like that's
outrageous.
one thing that really tackles me. But one of the things I also want to say about pesticide poisoning is sometimes if you get it in small doses, it doesn't harm you straight away. It just subtly hurts your immunity system. So it makes you far more susceptible to catching viruses.
Right. Yes.
So what people need to know is it probably suppresses our immunity system.
Right.
So if people have underlying conditions.
Yes.
And insecticides and pesticides are linked to cancer.
Linked to cancer.
And
There
I've
you
done
go.
this in many environments around the world. I've swum with the turtles after glyphosate and the sugar caning, and they were saying that's safe. And it
Yes.
was running into the waterway, and these
Yes.
turtles had massive growths. So
Yes, and PFAS, as Kathy Osborne was there with us, she was one of our speakers, and she's running for the seat of Burley,
amazing.
and she's running for the Libertarian Party in the next election. She was amazing. And she was saying how PFAS, that firefighters foam, was safe until it wasn't. And recently there was a $132 million payout by the government because so many people got impacted. And this is a forever chemical that is going to impact the environment forever. And if anything, what we're seeing is the poisons that are going around are not stopping the fire ants, they're actually spreading the fire ants.
Well, what they're doing is they're harming our grounds. So they're destroying the microorganisms in the soil. So when you get these toxins, because you think how it affects life, right?
Yeah.
So when it goes into our soils, and don't forget these ants take it underground, so you're going to get replicas of drying of environment. So that looks like climate change, but it's actually pesticide poisoning.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
We've got some great little ants working here, and I love the ants because they aerate our soil and they do all the work that we don't do to keep this ecosystem healthy.
Yes.
And these are beautiful black ants,
Yes,
and they're the
we'll
guys.
Show the ants here.
They're the guys we need.
There we are.
And they're quite strong ants. But imagine, these guys will probably bounce back, but a lot of ant species and pollinators, like the little bees and stuff, they're far more susceptible to these poisons.
Yeah. And I find bees fascinating. It amazes me that they carry 10 times their weight. I mean, I think animals,
I could never do that.
most animals are just extraordinary. It's interesting that we see some of them as pests and we see some of them as not pests. And really I think everything's here for a reason. All our animals are here for a reason. But what's been the biggest impact is human impact, right? The fire ants are imported, just like the cane toads were imported, right? Now, you've been doing documentary films with animals for 20 years, so you've seen. Now, actually, share about the turtles. I'm going to flip this round to you. Now, we saw an amazing documentary by Lynn on Sunday, which is called Pulse of Life, which she re-edited for our event. And just share a little bit about your documentary and about these turtles that we saw.
Well, I've been doing environmental films I've been in the environment since I was a little kid, but probably since the year 2000 I've been kind of telling the world about, talking about the planet and the things that are threatening it. Now, I've filmed in many locations, like in Tasmania, the clear felling of the forests and the taking down of those forests. And what happens is they put 1080 baits around and they kill all the Australian wildlife. Well, these wildlife get so thirsty because another symptom of pesticide poisoning is thirst and lethargicness. So they head for the waterways and they actually sometimes die in the waterways. But if they don't make it to the waterways, the other predators feed on them. And because they've got these 1080 poisons in their system, the other predators like Tasmanian devils eat these things, and then that lowers their immunity, so they're more susceptible to other viruses or diseases. And that's one of the diseases that they didn't know what was happening. But at the same time all that was happening, number one, biosecurity had introduced a rabbit virus to control rabbits. So they're eating these rabbits that had this brought in virus. But worse than that, they were 1080 poisoning, and they poisoned a whole subspecies of bettong, which is a little marsupial, and basically wiped it out. And so this would have been a food source for those devils around that time. So they not only had a virus introduced, they also had their immunity suppressed from 1080 poison. And then another story I did in Hawaii was ground zero for Monsanto. Monsanto pretty much owned the county of Maui, and they had these massive fertilizer tanks on these properties to fertilize the ground for sugarcane. And when it would rain, these glyphosates, which they deemed were safe, it would go into the water. And Jaws is a famous surf break in Maui, and there's these beautiful turtles. And of course I love snorkeling, so I went snorkeling with these turtles. But these turtles had growths, like massive growths all over their neck. Some of the surfers were getting testicular cancer, and a little 2-year-old boy died, and they linked all that to the glyphosates that were running off the sugarcane. The good news is that's no longer in Maui, which is good. But that just shows how these toxins come into our water supply, make their way through the water supply, and leave these legacies. And I call them the silent killers, because we can pick up plastic, we can actually see plastic, but we can't see these chemicals. And they're doing just as much, if not more harm, because we can't see them, we don't know when they're there, and we really don't know just how toxic they are once they go in accumulation stage.
Yeah.
So 4 years of Distance Plus and other chemicals like fipronil in our environment, without missing a square inch of Gold Coast and Brisbane, environmental suicide and health suicide.
And my concern is too, with this sitting in people's homes, now some people said it looks like a vitamin container, and you know, how many kids are going to pick this up and maybe eat it thinking that there are little bits of corn in there, because it is genetically modified corn in there infused with poison, and so of course the birds are going to love it because they think it's corn. However, you know, how many kids are going to get sick, or how many people are going to inadvertently pick it up and eat it thinking that it's food?
Well, it's worse than that in some countries, because distance plus in some countries has been linked to suicide.
Wow.
Right? And if you know how you feel when you do get these toxins in your body, and I know damn well how that feels, you feel so lethargic and you feel so apathetic that you just sort of, you've got no energy. And you actually, I'm not going to say you get depressed, you just got no energy to do anything. And especially if you were someone that might be susceptible to mental health and stuff, this stuff's not good for you. And this is when they know they take it, but inadvertently we're going to be getting it in all our ecosystem anyway. But it is linked to suicide in many countries around the world, and there's so many studies done right now that this is harming people in more ways than one.
Well, we need to step up, speak up. We need to be the change we wish to see in the world, I believe. Just come forward a bit out of the sun there. There we go. We need to be the change, I believe. Otherwise, don't complain if your animals die and if we have wastelands for future generations. Okay, if we don't step up and speak up now around this Australia government $1.2 billion Poisoning Australia program that's going on right now, then, you know, God help us all.
And I just love the planet, so if I know it's hurting my planet, I'll get my boxing gloves on.
Yes, and with me it's with the animals, right? But the planet as well, because the animals need the planet. It all goes hand in hand, right?
Well, the animals are, and all of us are the planet. We're all one.
There you
we're
go.
Connected, and we're all part of the same ecosystems.
Yes.
We're just mini planets walking around on a bigger
well, there you go. Yes, we are.
Yes.
So it's actually poisoning you. It's poisoning you, and the government's saying you must put this on your property. Well, if you have a reasonable excuse, you don't have to put it on your property, okay? And in fact, if you do put that poison on your property, then, as we say, if your animals die, then you are now responsible for your pets dying. The responsibility goes back into your hands.
That's not fair.
So it's just not right. And change can happen with community support. So if you've heard of anyone who's had animals die or have had adverse side effects since this poisoning, dumping of poisons with helicopters, or any poisoning on your land, please reach out to us. We've also got some petitions online. Check out our Facebook group, Stop the Toxic Fire Ant Program.
Yeah.
Hop along there. There's lots of information. There's lots of people who are stepping up and speaking up, because we've had enough. And particularly since COVID, we saw a lot of BS happen there. We saw a lot of people very affected by the government mandates that cost people jobs, livelihoods, health. We've seen so many people die of heart attacks since that as well. They're still dying. In fact, you know, people just dropping off. They were perfectly healthy 1 minute and now they're not. And you've got to ask, why is that? Why is it that they're 1 minute they're healthy, all the poisons go everywhere, and suddenly they're not healthy? You know? So, hey, you know, you can't say you don't know now. Please share the love. Share the love. Let people know. Let people know. That's right.
I just want to end on a really high note.
Yeah.
We have an amazing planet. We have an amazing environment. We live in one of the most beautiful places in the world.
We do.
So it's up to all of us to kind of stand up and you know, fight for this place.
Yeah.
And look, say the government's inadvertently made a mistake, or whatever happens to have been the cause, I would much rather think that community goes, hey, hang on a minute, we're watching too. We got eyes on the skies, we got eyes on our waterways, and we got eyes on the health of our planet and our pets. So we matter.
Exactly.
Our voice matters.
Exactly.
Because they do say lives matter.
Lives matter. Your life matters. You know, and if you don't step up and speak up, then, you know, you're being a complete doormat to, you know...
Oh, no, and don't go from fear. We've got to rise into strong beliefs.
We do.
That, you know, this planet's special.
It is.
And
it
it's
is very
worth
special.
changing our ways if we're
is.
doing something
It
wrong.
is.
And you know what you can do? The best thing that people can do, you know, they've got one thing, forcing us to have these chemicals, but you don't have to go and buy them.
No.
Right? They're all on our shelves in stores and in mass. So the best thing each of us can do is stop buying chemicals, pesticides and insecticides.
Yes.
Right? That's our personal choice.
Yes.
They may try and send it to us in the post, but we don't have to buy it.
And you don't have to put it anywhere, right?
And until they can prove this is safe over 4 years and the cumulative effect of that, I think they're the ones that need to please explain.
Please explain. And even things like Roundup are so toxic, aren't they?
Oh, Roundup has that many court cases and there's been that many payouts for Roundup. But some of these companies change their name or get bought out.
Right.
Right? So Monsanto got bought out by Bayer.
Right.
And so one was an insecticide, one was I think it was a herbicide or something like that.
Right.
But then Bayer bought out Monsanto. So left the legacy of Monsanto and reinvented themselves. So these chemical companies have been sued so many times. So
yes, how interesting. So do your own research. Don't necessarily believe what we have to say here. Go and check out the Stop the Toxic Fire Ant Program Facebook group. If you want the link, actually pop the link in the chat here. And thank you to everyone who's joined us live. I can see Robin, Gabrielle, Jan, Douglas, Emma. Good to see you guys. Please share the love. Get informed, get empowered, and I do believe, and we've seen many examples where the community have stood up and we have stopped these kind of atrocities from going ahead, and we can help save the planets, because effectively, as Lynn says, you are saving your own health and the health of your family by stepping up and standing up now against these incredibly toxic chemicals and being a stand for our animals too.
Would you eat this? Then don't let your pets eat it.
Yes, well said, Lynn. Well said. And thank you for all the great work you do. And now people can check out some of your content on your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, Travel Wild TV.
Travel Wild TV.
Yeah, if I get a little bit less slack, you'll get all my shows. But at the moment, I've got the Travel Wild series up there and more coming. So yeah, check it out. Been doing environmental and wildlife and planet stories for a long time. So not about to stop anytime soon. This is just another one. Standing up for what's right.
Exactly. Good on you. And with the Animal Action events, of course, is the 18th event we've just had, 18th annual event, and we're going to keep doing events. We're going to keep educating people. So stay tuned as well. You can connect with me on my Linktree /Aldwin, which is linktr.ee/Aldwin. You'll see it in my bio as well, the link there. And also check out my YouTube channel, because we've got a whole lot of videos we've done. Did an interview with Save the Bees founder Simon Mulvaney, who came up from Melbourne recently. We've got an interview with him, and another interview with Sarah Maguire, who's amazing, who was standing up for what's been going on in the Samford Valley and where they found record toxicity levels in their creeks, whereas it says toxic to aquatic life, and it's been sprayed in the creeks there and many other places. So thank you to all those who are standing up, speaking up. We really appreciate you, and it all makes a difference. It all makes a difference. Please share the love. Any final words, Lynn?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And here's to a great week ahead, right? All these things, there's some things we can't control. You can control what you now do about it, right? And how you're going to respond. Yes, and what you buy and what you choose to do. So now with this information, hopefully will help create even more change. Thank you so much.
Go the insects.
Yay, go the insects and our animals. Much love. See you again soon. Bye. Channel 9. Check out Channel 9 tonight, 5:30. Gold Coast News. Thank you, Channel